so next one we've got, folks, I'll tell you what, I've got the most amazing friends I've made doing this work. Our next presentation comes from Tracy King. He's Region 2 Arkansas State Parks Supervisor of the BSWRSP. And I'm going to let you tell us what that is because I may butcher it. And me and Leslie both have worked a lot hands-on with different agencies, and we've worked with the 5 different regions in Arkansas State Parks and Historic Sites, and enjoyed every minute of it. But it's real obvious though, and Tracy, where are you at? Okay, it's real obvious, this man would never say it, but he is a hands-on, get-her-done kind of guy, and talk about a person very well respected by his co-workers, and it was just real obvious to me. And I've worked for 26 years with Missouri State Parks, and I have an even greater appreciation for the job you do and how you motivate and inspire people. And this whole thing about the Chinquapins, he said, we will be doing this project. And everybody there, some didn't say, no, we're not for sure. Everybody's like, yes, because they trusted his leadership. They knew that he would never tell them about anything that they need to be doing unless it was something good for them and good for the parks and good for the state of Arkansas and future generations and wildlife. And I was just really inspired to work with him. And we had the biggest group picture I think we've ever had at your meeting when we did that planning though. And so a little bit about Tracy King. Tracy, you had so much information on here. I didn't want to cut any of that out. It was so good and so incredible. So I'm going to try to tell you a little bit about what this man has done and where he's been and what he's accomplished. He was born at a very young age on November 1, 1963. That's profound. I just realized I'm older than him. I'm getting old. I grew up in Decaturville, Tennessee, and he attended high school at Riverside High School and graduated in 1982. And let's see, while working at Lake Catherine State Park in Arkansas as a seasonal ranger, he met his wife of 37 years, and there while she was working in the restaurant. How ironic, we're here today at another park near a restaurant. They would marry in the next year in June 1986 after accepting a full-time ranger position at Jacksonport. They have 2 children, Ryan is 36 and Alyssa 34, both of which graduated from college in 2011. And Ryan has a degree in outdoor recreation and is currently the Chief Recreation with U.S. Army Corps of Engineers at Russellville, Arkansas. And his son was going to actually be up here and co-present with him. And I've done this enough, I know what happened. He is a busy, busy person. He's got a farm, he's got all of that going on. And I have a new baby. And a brand new baby. And I knew that was going on, but he was going to come up here and co-present with his dad. And do y'all see what's going on here? We have a lot of parents that have children and are involving children in what we're doing. And folks, that's the future of what we're doing right here. And all of y'all in this room, I see that and see what you're doing, and that's just really great. I mean, pick a better thing to do, you know. And so anyhow, tell him I understand, no worries. Alyssa, his daughter, has a degree in dental hygiene, and just like his wife Alyssa, and she works at North Little Rock Dental Care. And he has 3 grandchildren who occupies his time, and they're their new life now. And so he's, throughout the years, he's attended Evangel College in Springfield, Missouri, attended Memphis State University in Tennessee, seasonal ranger at Lake Catherine State Park, Arkansas, supervisor of an internship at Petit Jean Mountain State Park, seasonal ranger at Lake Chillicothe State Park, also in Arkansas, former full-time ranger at Jacksonport State Park in 1985. Let's see, assistant superintendent at Bull Shoals White River State Park, superintendent of Bull Shoals White River State Park, 2017. Let's see, Region 2 supervisor, and this includes, I guess that would be 12 parks in central Arkansas in the north central part of the state of Arkansas. Law enforcement training with state parks. Been with Arkansas State Parks for 38 years. That's an accomplishment to itself. And let's see, instructor and certified in firearms, defense tactics, radar, Center for Access Relock. Let's see.
That's enough.
Okay. Thanks, keep me between the ditches here. And let's see, expandable Professor LE. Let's see, other certifications, WRFA and CPR, crime scene, senior LE certificate, intro to incident command, Glock pistol armor, SIMI, managing the park, interpreters, LED advisory committee, been acting chief ranger of 3 separate occasions. And so without further ado, I'd like to give a good welcome to Tracy King, and glad to have you up here, sir. Thank you so much.
I didn't intend for him to read all of that.
That's what I'm here for.
That's a typical bio that we have to do in our agency, that when something happens or there's a new press release or something like that, you get a new job, then that gets forwarded to our information people in Little Rock, and that goes out. And so when Steve sent the email, I was right in the middle of, I don't know what it was, but I was so busy, and I just thought, I'm just going to send him that and update it the best I can. And so I know how it is. You're going, boy, he wanted everything. He's really proud of all of his accomplishments, and that's far from the case. My largest accomplishment is starting the Chinquapin stuff in Region 2, which is my region. So that's something that will go on this bio. As soon as I update it, it's going to go on there. So anyway, glad to be here. Mount Magazine, beautiful park, not in my region. You know, as I said before, my region basically is Central Arkansas all the way up to the Missouri border, Central Arkansas, and a little bit of Northeast. I have like 12 parks altogether. My agency will correct me and say I have 11. So let's just say I have 11 plus 1, because Lake Sylvia, which we had a meeting at not too long ago, is one of the parks that I got given. And so been doing this a long time as far as state parks is concerned. I started out at Jacksonport as far as my full-time stuff, as Steve said, and I was fortunate enough there to have a superintendent that believed in planting trees. I had not come from that, and to me, trees were just there, and that's what I heard, where I went to hunt and fish and do whatever else. But Jacksonport being on the White River, it floods a lot. And a lot of times when it floods, the weaker trees, whatever, drowns them out and they die. And if you've ever been to Jacksonport, they have a small campground right on the White River, just below where the conduit of the black and the white come together. And we needed trees bad in the campground because it was just an open field and you just burn up. So we started planting trees, and I learned early on the importance of planting trees, so I carried that with me to Bull Shoals when I moved up there. And I can go there today and see trees that I planted 35 years ago, and they are just, and it's something I'm extremely proud about, that. So when Tom, back in the back, Tom Stolar's retired regional peer of mine, good friend of mine, retired here a few months back, but well, he had Steve come in and talk to us at an operations meeting, and I'm going, okay, the Chinquapin, I'm good with that. I already know what a Chinquapin is. I've been planting Chinquapins for years and years and years. If you ever saw Dumb and Dumber, do you ever see that movie? When Jim Carrey walks out of the bar and he sees the framed picture of man landing on the moon, and he has this eureka moment like, wow. Well, that's what I had when I learned the Chinquapin I thought we had was not the Chinquapin that they were talking to us about. I didn't know the difference, ignorant me. So when I realized the importance of this, I just was beside myself. So I said, with what little authority I have over my 12 parks, we're going to make this happen. It's not negotiable. That's the way I looked at it. And as he said, the people that work in the parks, my parks, I say my parks, they're not mine, they're yours. I manage them and those supervisors that are there, but they know me well enough to know if my heart is set that hard on something, they know it's the best thing for them, and I got zero arguments, zero pushbacks. I guess maybe they knew they wasn't going to win anyway, but nonetheless, they all embraced it. But anyway, so getting on with my program, everybody has different reasons on why they want to do this as far as the Chinquapins and where they're going. And I have multiple reasons. My primary reason, as somebody mentioned earlier, is that right there. Those are my grandkids, and they're very special. I'm trying to get this to go. I should be able to press down, shouldn't I?
Hey, do you want to get the leg?
Get me, I'm hung up here.
All right, so you just need to go forward.
Yep. Not moving there.
That's what's happened. Let's get out of that.
There we go.
Now,
That is my latest edition, which is fourth grandchild that's a girl. I have one boy, who you'll see here in just a little bit. But they're the reason I do what I do, and that I'm so passionate about the Chinquapin and other trees as well. I encourage all of the parks every year, if you have the money in your budget, toward the end of the year, buy some trees. I don't care. Buy some native trees and plant them the best you can. So, unfortunately for us, our year ends June the 30th. It's not an ideal time to be planting trees that you buy from a nursery or whatever else. So, it got to where, shows I hauled in mounds and mounds of topsoil. And so when I would buy these trees, I would transplant them in that mound all together, spread out, where I could water them all at one time or have them watered until the fall came when the weather conditions were better. And then I would go in there and basically dig them up and get them put in the ground when I did that. That allowed me to buy the end of my budget if I had extra money. So that's another, I guess, success. This is a picture. This is my grandson. We're watering one of the Chinquapin trees at my house. It's I got four seeds that I planted back in April of this year, and all four are thriving. And I keep them watered and tend for them and care for them almost as much as I do him. They kind of become like that. But to give you the backstory, April 25th of 22 is when we had the operations meeting I talked about earlier. As soon as that was over, I was so excited. When I got home, I called my son Ryan, which he said was with the Corps there in Russellville, and I said, dude, we've been missing out on something that is just unbelievable, and y'all need to get on board with this. And he's like, what? You know, because he's in the same business I'm in. And I said, the Ozark Chinquapin. He said, what? Who? I said, the Ozark Chinquapin. Here's what you need to do. They're having a meeting tomorrow at Russellville. I said, there's no excuse. You're a few miles from that office. There's no excuse why you or somebody in your office shouldn't be there. And he attended, I think, and I'm not sure who else attended with him, but the Corps ended up getting some trees, all of which are still living. It wasn't a whole bunch, but they got some, and it's a start. And he's sorry he couldn't be here today, but he's snowed under for sure. So, in December of 22, we had a meeting at the Folk Center where Steve was there. We had the full presentation. Steve and Leslie were there. We had the full presentation. I think Leslie was there. I'm not sure at that one. But to our superintendents, because I'm not good at explaining everything they needed to know about what I had learned about the Chinquapin. And I'm going, they'll believe somebody else a lot faster than they believe me. And so he came in and gave the spiel, and they got excited. And so we ended up with about 100 seeds in the region. And so this kind of goes, there's our meeting at Jacksonport in April, where we were handed the seeds and the grow tubes. And it's a large group, but my requirement was for the park superintendent, who's in charge of that park, to be there, and whoever they were going to assign to be responsible for those trees, keeping them watered, getting them planted, so on and so forth. So that's why I guess we had so many. But beautiful day, beautiful facility at Jacksonport. If you hadn't ever been there, beautiful place, and I thought the meeting was a huge success. Huge success. Here we are, of course, Steve's showing us how to plant, where to plant, and what to put in, and so on and so forth. Everyone seemed very attentive, good buy-in, so to speak. Not a lot of people playing on their phones and doing that kind of stuff, so that was good. Not that I was watching or anything. But anyway, now I'm kind of going to go into, real briefly here, the successes and the failures. I've always been a straight shooter. I call it like I see it. Good or bad, pass or fail. Overall, I think of the 50 or the 100 seeds that we put out, we were right at 50% overall. Now, it would have been way higher than that if I hadn't had staff turnover in 2 locations that really hurt me bad. Actually, 3 locations. When you're short-staffed already and you have key people that leave you either to come to another park or that leave the agency for whatever reason, there's just not enough time. It's a very hot, dry summer, as you all know, and most of the parks, our busiest time is the summertime. Our visitors have to come first. The facilities have to come first. And what's left over is taking care of stuff like this. So we did have some failures, what I call failures, but it's not gonna slow us down one bit in the world. We're fixing to keep moving forward, and we're gonna help get this tree back established. And State Parks is gonna play their part, at least Region 2. But other regions are involved as well. So maybe as we grow this thing, we'll hopefully be a statewide agency that most every park participates in. So anyway, not going to go into a whole lot, but you can see here, Davidsonville, which is in the northeast part of the state, it's kind of on the foothills of the Ozarks. Number seeds of 12. I've got my new orders on here. They had 11, looks like, out of 12 that made it. Some of these parks had really, really, really good success out of theirs. But every so often I send these questions, where planted, number of seeds, I send this to them and have them updated so I know how things are. When I visit those parks, then I always talk about how's your Chinquapin, who's in charge of that, so-and-so left, now who's taking that over. I don't want to see hard work go to the wayside because we have turnover, but Jacksonport, they're 7 out of 8. I think we have some trees that are between 2 and 3 feet now. They were planted, most all of them planted April 11th, 12th, 13th, somewhere in there. And I think we were I don't know about the tail end, but we were getting closer to the tail end of the planning, because some of the tap routes were pretty long. And so hopefully this next year we can beat that by a few weeks to give us a little more leeway. Lake Charles had complete staff turnover that transferred to other places, and those just didn't get taken care of. There was nobody left to carry the torch. We were in dire straits at that park for a while, but now we're good. We are good. Neither one of these sprouted at Lower White River. Now, mind you, some of the parks that I'm showing you, we're in the Delta. If you want a rock, you're going to have to go to some place that sells gravel and Lowe's. You're not going to find it. It's all fertile soil. And so we're trying, and we've had some success in the Delta areas, but some we haven't. But we're going to try again. We're going to try again and maybe change things up. I talked to the superintendent this morning about it, and we're going to try something different next year. At this place especially. This park right here is about 1/3 of an acre. That's how big it is. And the building itself, the museum, takes up 3/4 of that 1/3 of an acre. So we basically have just one little corridor on each side in the very back, and that's it. But we're going to try. Mammoth Spring, that's up on the Missouri border, close to there. Very good success they had on theirs. They're 100%, 7 out of 7. Eddie Mitchell, pictures you see there of him taking care of them. He basically has the passion that I do. So a lot of times that's important, for sure, to have that. Pinnacle and Lake Sylvia were what I call failures, complete failures. And a lot of it had to do with a number of things to which we have corrected in some form or fashion. So next year we will have two different outcome to report. Lake Sylvia, which is a division of Pinnacle, same thing. Because those are the same park, same employees, a lot of things that we're planning and taking care of, and so on and so forth. And not all the good decisions were made on those. So we're going to get that corrected and move forward. Plantation Ag, again in the Delta. They had 1 out of 5. That's Tom there taking care of it. But again, same superintendent at this park that's over Lower White River, who I talked to this morning. We're going to try something different. May work, may not. We're going to try. We're going to bring rock in and add some rock. Why not? Who knows? Plum Bayou, which Toltec Mounds, for those of you who've been around a while, used to be Toltec, now it's Plum Bayou in the Delta. They've had pretty good success, but not good. 2 out of 10, and we're gonna try something different with them. They're just down the road from Plantation Ag, 4 miles. So we're gonna try to collaborate between those parks and try to do something new. Powhatan, that's up in the Ozarks there, not far from Walnut Ridge. They've got 4 out of 5. That's awesome. Back in the rocks again. Evidently there's a correlation to these rocks. They've done a good job with all of their stuff, taking care of those. Very proud of them. And Woolly Hollow, which was mentioned earlier, is one of my parks. Things have changed out there, as you're very well aware, and that we're moving forward in a very, very good and positive way. Don't forget that Lake Sylvia is in Perry County. That would be awesome. Anyway, Lake Sylvia is not far from Conway, so like Greenbrier, but whatever we've got to do to involve Master Naturalists. I've been involved with Master Naturalists almost since the inception of that organization. Bull Shows, North Central Arkansas, Master Naturalist. I helped start up there at Bull Shows, and I'm very appreciative of the amount of work that y'all do that helps us out tremendously. So there's many other groups as well, but I love those Master Naturalists. They're worth their weight in gold. Looking forward, our next seed order hopefully is 97 or close to that. We're going to try to get, I've already ordered 100 grow tubes, did that day before yesterday. They'll be in tomorrow, and I have a regional meeting next Tuesday, and I'll give those out. And when I originally sent out my stuff to gather information on the Chinquapin before this, I failed to mention how many seeds they would be ordering. And so some of the parks didn't get with Steve Churchill, our coordinator for the state, with any seeds. Some of them were like, well, we're doing okay right now, we're going to wait. No, you're not. So I'm ordering for them. They just don't know it yet. But anyway, our best advertisement is your mouth. End of story. Whether you're at home, your neighbors, your family, your friends, your co-workers, whoever the case may be. I have talked to my neighbors. I have talked to my former boss yesterday about, he had no idea about the Chinquapin. He was a 30-year veteran with our agency. He had no idea. I started explaining to him the things that I had learned from Steve and Leslie and Bo Steve. Maybe I should need to start saying Bo Steves. And he's like, we're going to check into that. And I said, please do, because this is right down your alley. You will love this. So your testimony is more important than any piece of paper, any radio ad, anything. We all work together and sell this verbally. It'll take care of itself. Sure will. Very proud of what we've done, and we're going to keep getting better and better each year. And I thank y'all for inviting me up here, and I am, stick a fork in me, I'm done.
Hey, Richard.
I don't know what's happening. Pretty close.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Tracy, I want you on my team always.
What a good presentation. And you know, what he's doing and what he's moving forward with, you know, if you want to leave something for future generations, plant a tree, you know. And one lesson I got, or one takeaway I've got from what he was talking about, if you think about it, if you know, it's kind of like a carpenter building a house, you know, if you bend a nail, you know, if you lose a tree, do you stop? No, you keep going. And that's what he's talking about doing. Some of y'all may not know this, but if you look at what the Wright brothers did, you know, here they were, there's a guy, I forget his name, he had a couple degrees, and he was given money by National Geographic, the Navy, and he's going to be the first person to actually fly planes, the first person. And so all this money went into what he was doing, and every week, this is back around the turn of the century, every week newspapers talked about it, it was in the news constantly, the first person in flight. So while he was doing that, there was two brothers in a bicycle shop in Ohio that were working on trying to fly too. And those brothers that worked together were so determined what they were doing, they didn't let setbacks like some of the parks he's talking about saw. They moved forward. And so the Wright brothers actually took the parts with them to rebuild that plane 5 times every time they went out. They knew they were going to have failures, but they were determined. So I can't even think of that guy's name now, but it's in all the papers. But the Wright brothers were the ones that were successful. We are the Wright brothers here. We're the ones doing it. And your region is a good testimony to that, though. So we learn from it. You know, as long as we're trying to learn from it, it's a valuable lesson. And I always say either we're successful or we learned a valuable lesson, we're going to move forward. And so that's a good testimony, and thank you, Tracy, I like that. And tell your son, congratulations on the new baby. Okay, moving right along here, I think we're doing good on time now. The next presentation that we have, and Tori, you're going to read that one off, correct? Okay, and I'm going to let Tori introduce our next person we have up here.
Our next presenter will be Ms. Roxanne. She graduated with a bachelor's in agronomy from Southeast Missouri State University in 2006, and she has a master's in entomology from the University of Arkansas in 2010. She has held positions in teaching and research and has 7 peer-reviewed publications. Roxanne has been a volunteer at the Missouri Department of Conservation Nature Center for 9 years, where she enjoys doing animal care. Her passion for insects, birds, and native plants has her currently working on her 33-acre homestead to bring nature home.
I put this way down here because I'm short. So hopefully you can hear me. I do talk soft and I do apologize for that. So if you can't hear me, please speak up. And I do have my notes here because I have a tendency to forget what I want to say. So I'm going to be flipping through my notes. Okay, so let me play with this for a minute. I think that's the pointer. And that might be the changer. Okay. I just want to make sure. Alrighty. So, everybody knows AJ, right? And you heard that I'm a volunteer at the Nature Center, been there for 9-10 years. Karen Pelton, please stand up. She's been running the camera. She and I volunteer together. So, I think it was April of this year, AJ came. We always have a monthly volunteer meeting, the 4th Thursday of every month. And he came and talked about Chinquapins at our volunteer meeting. He talked about the restoration of it and mentioned about the research of insects and talked about the foundation and said that there was some research going on about insects and pollination on the trees. And of course I got all excited and Karen was sitting there next to me and we're like, we can do this. We can do this, sure. You know, because Karen likes to go out and Karen likes to take pictures. She's always, you always find her on a trail somewhere. So I thought, yeah, let's go out and do this because he said the trees were right there on the property. Okay, so we can do this. Talked about how there has been some studies during the day, a little bit at night, but there really wasn't anything done at night. They wanted to know what was on these trees at night. So, you know, you can see that the objective of our study there was to observe visitation of insects on these Ozark Chinquapins there in Cape Girardeau, right on the regional office and nature center property at night and after dark. So, before we get started here, did I switch it? I did. Sorry. Because of the decline of this very important tree, it's important to understand, you know, the pollination of these trees, especially insect pollination. So I'm going to kind of go over some of the studies that are already known. I found a couple as I was doing my research, but just kind of give you guys an idea of what studies are out there already. So in 1954, Clapper, basically, he just focused on plant characteristics. So he looked at like how bright of the color of the flowers were. He looked at how odorous they are or how much nectar there were on them. You know, how sticky was the pollen, that kind of stuff. In Europe, De Oliveira and others in 2000 looked at chestnut, and they did show that insect pollination was very important. Giovannetti and others in 2011. Their study was basically focused on honeybee interest in general, is what they had looked at. I did find a gentleman named Paul Oppler in 1977. He's with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. He looked through literature and did some surveys, and he showed that there were at least, is what he put in his paper, 60 species of moths that fed on the tree. And then this last one is Colton Zirkle in 2017. He was a graduate student at University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. For his dissertation, he did some exclusion studies, and he showed that wind and insect pollination did increase seed production. So let's kind of look at some of this research in detail as far as what they actually noted in their research. So Colton, he noted that pollination occurred in the absence of insects, demonstrating wind alone could pollinate flowers, but at levels far less than when flowers were exposed to both wind and insects. And Giovannetti in 2011 and others, remember she was, or I don't remember if it's she or he, but they basically focused on honeybee interest in general, and basically came to the conclusion that the plants may increase their reproductive success when climatic conditions are unfavorable to wind pollen dispersal. So the flowers are basically wind pollinated. There's a fancy word for it that I can't pronounce, but insect pollination helps them produce seed better, is what they're finding. It's kind of like soybeans, they more or less self-pollinate, but a little bit of insect help helps the seed production a little bit better. Does that make sense? Okay. De Oliveira and others in 2000 found, and they did this study, both of these studies like that other one, these two studies were done in Europe as well. The first one was done in Portugal, and found that some impacts on the bird set are related to the insect pollinators. And then LaRue, others in 2021, found that the flowering trees attracted large numbers of beetles, bees, and flies, and that pollinator exclusion experiments demonstrated a predominant role of insects. Now, Colton Zirkle in 2017, who was the graduate student at University of Arkansas, found, I think, around 122 species of insects, and he did a little bit at night as well, and a lot during the day, and I think he found 6 orders of insects. So let's kind of go into the what and where, kind of show you, where we're doing this study at, and if you've never been to Cape Girardeau, Missouri, there it is, right on the map, right there. It's right on the Mississippi River, kind of toward the bottom of southern Illinois, just cross the Mississippi River. We're right over there, about 6.5 hours from here. And if anybody knows, I'm not going to get political, but if anybody knows Rush Limbaugh, that's the hometown of Rush Limbaugh. So this kind of gives an aerial view of what we're looking at here. And if you've ever driven up between, say, Memphis and St. Louis and you go through Cape Girardeau, this is exit 99. So over here, this is Kings Highway, and Interstate 55 is over here, and this is the Kings Highway. So Jackson is up here, and Cape Girardeau is down here. This is kind of center junction is what we call it. North Cape County Park is separated by Kings Highway by South Cape County Park. So there's like the memorial cemeteries over here, and there's another lake and trails and stuff. So the regional office is here. The Nature Center, trying to see over here. I'm gonna walk over here a minute.
You can't really see it.
Yeah, I can't really see it. Oh, Nature Center's down here.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's hard for me to see at this angle. I guess I can look at the screen too. Nature Center's down here and the regional office is here. The park does have, well, of course there's lights up along and down this highway. The park does have lights in it. There's lights along the regional office and the Nature Center. And of course there's, 2 ponds. We call this the kids pond. And then this is the lake over here into